All right, welcome to this edition of the Loud and Devoted podcast. My name is Aaron Thomas, otherwise known as Native Seahawk, and welcome to my very first live stream. I've never done this before, and wanted to kind of kick off the new year for us. I know the NFL league year has already started, and we've been doing all kinds of good stuff and talking about all kinds of good things on this podcast the last few months. But today is sort of like a brand new day for those of us, especially that have season tickets. This is my 18th season as a season ticket holder. I cannot believe it's been that long. I remember it was right after the 2005 or 2006 season that I got the 4-game package. That's how bad we were, that they gave out these packages that were so tiny. They didn't have anything like the Blue Wave or any of those sign in, wait in line kind of programs to get season tickets. And I remember those first 2 years, even with my 4-game package, I had a hard time trying to get people to come with me to the games. I would say, "Hell, I'll even leave a ticket at will call for you if you'll join me," and I'd leave at will call, and I'd be sitting there, and it'd be 3rd quarter, throughout the game, and that person never showed up. And then, of course, as we drafted, we got Pete Carroll, we got John Schneider, we had all these great drafts that over the next few years after that, I was able to get people to come with me, number one, but then people were calling me to see if I was going to the game. So it's been interesting, kind of an up and down sort of thing. And I've always said once Russell Wilson left Seattle, or once Pete Carroll was gone, I was probably going to go ahead and not re up for my season tickets. But here I am, 18th season now, and I decided to go for it. And it's one of those things where you really gotta just kind of keep on doing it. There's no real legacy things. So I don't have any kids, or I don't have any. It's not even in my will somewhere where if I pass away, somebody else gets my tickets. It's just going to be someone else will get my seats eventually. But and I live down here in the Palm Springs, California area, Southern California, which is very difficult. Not to go to the games. I can hop on a Southwest plane and get up to Seattle pretty fast. But it's more about all the different uh, you know types of fans that are down here in the Southern California area. Of course, you got Rams. The Rams are about an hour and a half west from here. Then you've got the Cardinals, which are about 3 or 4 hours away from here. Now you got the Raiders in Las Vegas. That's another 3.5, 4 hours from here. But nonetheless, you still got all kinds of Cowboy fans and other Raider fans. But it's been that kind of thing where down here you're just gotta bleed blue and green and hope that you continuously have a good team to watch. And that's what we're talking about today is the NFL schedule release today. Those of us that are on Twitter right now are just kind of refreshing all kinds of mock schedules that were pushed out throughout the last couple of days as alleged leaks were coming out. And other fans are doing the same thing and trying to figure out which teams are the Seahawks are going to play. And you're not going to hear this kind of content on the NFL Network. You're not going to see it on ESPN. They're going to be talking about the big markets. So I'm glad to have you here tonight with me. And as we continuously try to figure out who the hell are we going to play? And I mean, we know who we're going to play. We know the various teams that we've got on the home and away. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but who is your favorite team that you're like just can't wait to see come to come to Seattle and be able to see us at Lumen? Of course, the NFC West, that's got to be the favorite because that's who we're trying to win. We're trying to win and be dominant with the NFC West. And of course, the Rams and of course the 49ers, those are the two teams that we've got our eyeballs on. But, who else is it that you're thinking would be really, really great? And again, here's who Seattle is playing, allegedly, according to Seahawks.com. Let me see if I can try to present the screen, share screen. And again, as I roll this out, let's see. Yeah, it looks like the Seahawks are definitely going to be playing at home. Let's see. See if I got this right or not. I don't think I did. Nope. Well, okay, we're gonna go and stop screen. Seattle is gonna be playing on September 8th. We're gonna be playing at home against the Denver Broncos, which a lot of folks had as the sort of favorite to be our number one team this year. The good news about this is that we're playing at home against the Broncos. This is a very an opening day. You always want to know if you're on the road or if you're at home. And so while a lot of us will be traveling to Seattle to watch the Seahawks play against the Broncos, who are definitely in rebuild mode. Sean Payton is their head coach. Of course, that big fallout between him and Russell Wilson. They are paying Russell basically to play in Pittsburgh, and now they've got Bo Nix, and they're trying to figure it out. Then we go to New England. We go to play against the Patriots on September 15th, and that's going to be fun to watch them go to New England. I've never been to Foxborough Stadium, which I think would be really, really fun as a fan all these years. Remember the old days when they used to have that really old Patriot on the side of the helmet there in New England. Then we come home and we play the Dolphins on September 22nd. So it's a home away and home again. It goes back and forth because when the Dolphins come into Seattle on September 22nd, that's going to be extremely difficult. They've got track stars on offense. They've got a really legit defense, even though they have lost a few players on their defensive line. That could be a really tough call this year. It's going to be a really close game. I imagine it's going to be pretty high scoring. And then we go out to Detroit for our very first game on the national front. It's a Monday night football game, September 30th, against the Detroit Lions. So yes, those leaks are all true so far. Everything I've seen from Corbin Smith and others that had kind of been following all the leakages of the schedule leading up till today. So far, we're pretty much 4 for 4. But going to Detroit is very going to be a challenge, of course. The Lions are definitely on the up and up. They just re-signed Jared Goff to a tremendous deal. They've got tremendous pieces both on offense and defense. So that's going to be a really, really probably the most challenging game so far in this early of the season here. We come home to play 2 home games back to back and actually on the same week because we'll have the New York Giants. The New York Football Giants will be coming to Seattle on October 6th. That's a 1:25 start. And then we stay in Seattle. So let's talk a little bit more about the Giants. Giants are in rebuild mode as well. They honestly don't have a lot for them to stand on. They don't know about their quarterback situation. Drew Lock is out there as their backup. He's trying to take over there in New York. Their defense is not very good. They got some really good rookies that are coming in this year, but it shouldn't be too big of a challenge for Seattle. I mean, every game's a challenge, right, in the NFL. But then the real challenge, and we can't overlook the Giants because that's going to be a tough game. They are going to be playing at home 4 days later in Seattle against the dreaded 49ers. And of course, we all know about the San Francisco 49ers. They are stacked on both sides, offense, defense. That's going to be a humongous challenge on 4 days rest. But that's again, Shanahan and all the folks out there are just itching to come up to Seattle and on Thursday night football, which for me, I'm not that big of a humongous fan of Thursday night football. But okay, whatever. It's going to be a all eyes in Seattle on that Thursday night, and it's not for another 10 more days. Then though, even though because we got the 2 games, October 6th, October 10th, and then 10 more days later, we'll be flying to Atlanta to play the Falcons inside their dome in Atlanta. Again, another rebuilding kind of a team. A lot of folks got them sort of on the cusp of a playoff position. I don't think they're going to be that great, but I think Seattle's going to do pretty well there in Atlanta. Michael Penix is there. Of course, Kirk Cousins is there, but we'll see who will be starting for the Falcons by week 7. Week 8, October 27th, we come home. And this is one of my most exciting games, I think, for the season is going to be when we play the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills, they've lost a lot of talent over the last this last offseason, but they still very, very talented. With Josh Allen as quarterback. They play October 27th at home, a 1 o'clock game. And remember, a lot of these games, as we start getting into November, October, November, can be switched over to the 5 p.m. start for a Sunday night game. And so as we get closer, Josh Allen, October 27th, and then a week later, Seattle plays in Seattle. So we got back-to-back games against the dreaded Rams on November 3rd, a 125 start. So you got the Bills, you got the Rams. This could be probably one of the most challenging parts of the schedule with the 49ers, the Bills, the Rams, all within 4 weeks of each other. And so thank God the following week is November 3rd, or no, November 10th, excuse me, is a bye week. So we've got a late bye this year, which is really, really solid. Thank God, because I think last year we were in week 4. And, you want to be able to have some time to get injuries, which is going to happen, hamstrings or toes or, some kind of weird, nefarious thing happening to one of your players. You kind of want time to go into the season. And November 10th is a really good sort of last couple of weeks before the last bye weeks happen. But then we go off the bye week to San Francisco to play against the 49ers again. So within a month or so, they go and play the Niners for the second time. But in Santa Clara, they're definitely not the San Francisco 49ers. If you've ever traveled there, you might fly into San Francisco and then drive another hour to get to the stadium. I always fly into San Jose, by the way. That's where I always fly in because it's literally 15 minutes away from the stadium. So they should be called the San Jose 49ers, but they play at 1 o'clock on November 17th. A week later, they go back home and they play against the Arizona Cardinals. So that again, Cardinals they're not a gimme team anymore, but they're not extremely well either. Always kind of dropping in the top 10 each year. I'm not going to say that that's kind of a gimme game. None of these are. But you fly to New York or in New Jersey, actually, to play the Aaron Rodgers, hopefully, fingers crossed that he can stay this long on December 1st to the New York Jets. And in all the way to the East Coast from Phoenix, going to the East Coast to play on a 10 a.m. start against the Jets. And again, the Jets are pretty good. I think they are, with Aaron Rodgers in there, they should be challenging for a playoff spot by now. And it's gonna get kind of cold now. It's December, so it's after Thanksgiving, and so you start to kind of bring out the earmuffs and the galoshes and make sure that you dress nice and warm if you're going to that stadium, MetLife Stadium. I've been there as a big fan of the Seahawks. I got to watch the Seahawks defeat the Broncos in the Super Bowl in that stadium. And so it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to fly back out there for that. They come back into the West a week later to play against the Arizona Cardinals in Phoenix or Glendale. Again, that stadium is dreaded for all of us Seahawks fans. We've lost several key players to their careers in that doggone stadium. We lost that damn, game in that stadium. So hopefully Captain Seahawk has done a good job of been blessing the field the last couple of years in Glendale as we play the Cardinals for the second time. And then we get into a really good kind of an interesting part. The last 4 games of the regular season, Seattle comes home to play the Packers, and that's going to be a really awesome game. Sunday night football, December 15th. And Jordan Love and that team, I'm not going to say that I'm not afraid of them, but they're young, they're hungry. They remind me a lot of Seattle back in 2012. And if they play their cards right, they could definitely be the leaders in their division by December 15th this year. So that's going to be an interesting game. A week later, we're back in Seattle again for back-to-back games to play the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy and probably Justin Jefferson will be rolling into Seattle on a Sunday afternoon game. I'm not going to say that the Vikings are going to be very scary this year, but they're on the cusp, especially if McCarthy can can do well there for them. They could actually be a surprise team this year in the NFC. And then we go out uh, to Chicago for a Thursday night game. So this was the second time this season, according to the schedule makers, where we play two games in 1 week. The December 22nd game against the Vikings, 4 days later against the Bears in Chicago, which is going to be really cold and windy. It's the day after Christmas. So if you're making your plans, December 26th would be the time that you'll be in Chicago. I've never been to that stadium. I think that would be a fun trip. I don't like the fact it's during Christmas, but you know, who knows? Maybe in the next couple of years with Caleb Williams, we might be flying ourselves out there for a playoff game when it's not in December or Christmas. And then the final game of the season's out here in the Southwest, Southern California, against the Los Angeles Rams, January 4th or 5th. They don't have a time yet to be determined. It could be a Saturday game. It could be a Sunday game. That's to be determined, of course. If it's if it's for a playoff berth, they'll probably move it to more of a primetime spot. But we'll see how it goes by then. So there's your schedule, starting with the Broncos, then to New England, then back home against the Dolphins. We got the Lions on September 30th. Monday Night Football, we go back home for back-to-back games. The Giants, the Niners, we go out to Atlanta October 20th. We come home for back-to-back games against the Bills and the Rams. We got a late bye the 10th week of the season on November 10th. And then November 17th out to San Jose 49ers. Back home right before Thanksgiving, or maybe, right before Thanksgiving, to play the Cardinals. We go out to New Jersey to play the Jets on December 1st. Then out to Glendale December 8th to play the Cardinals. Back-to-back games at home against the Packers and the Vikings. And then the last two games are on the road in Chicago for Thursday night game, and then in Los Angeles, which, by the way, that SoFi Stadium is amazing. If you've ever been, I've been there a few times to watch us play, and loved it every time. The fans there are actually pretty legit so far. They have not been jerks like I've seen in other stadiums. So let's see how many primetime games. They got one against the Lions in the first month of the season, September 30th. And they've got a second, they've got the other one coming up on October 10th, Thursday night in Seattle against the 49ers. And then, so that's two. And then the third one's not until December 15th, Sunday night football in Seattle against the Packers. And then the fourth primetime game is Thursday night football in Chicago. So 4 media hyped games where all the world's watching, and no international games this year, which is good. I think I was kind of hoping for an England game against the Bears, but that's okay. I would love to go back to England and have a really good reason. I want to go to Germany to watch the Seahawks play and lose to Tom Brady, but that was a really fun trip. I definitely recommend if you ever get to go to Germany to watch football. It is very, very fun, and lots of beer to be had in Munich. So there's your schedule. I think overall it's a pretty fair schedule for Seattle. Several back-to-back home games. Again, October 6th, October 10th in the same week, back-to-back. I mean, that's probably a week where I'll fly up because I'm not in the state of Washington. I might stay up there from the 5th until the 11th. That kind of make it kind of a vacation for that week. And then October 27th through November 3rd. So again, pretty much 4 home games in October, because if you count November 3rd, which is just right outside October, you got about basically 4 games right there. Then you got the bye week, which is late this year. So I think that's very fair. And then lots of away games in the second half of the season. Like I said, the most challenging part of the season, I believe, is going to be October 10th through November 3rd. You got the Niners, the Rams, the Bills, and you can't discount the Falcons by then. So that's actually 4 straight games that could be very challenging right before the bye week. And then if you throw in the Lions, which is September 30th Then you've got five pretty much pretty solid contenders. You might as well just go back to the Dolphins then on the 22nd. So the first half of the season, I think, is going to be very challenging for Seattle as they get to the bye week with the Dolphins, the Lions, the Niners, the Bills, and the Rams all in the first half before your bye week. That's five solid, pretty much those teams are trying to go for their division. They're not on the cusp to being in the playoffs. They're legitimate contenders. And so Seattle's got their work cut out for them in the first half. The second half of the season gets a little easier. Yeah, you still got the Niners, and yeah, you got the Packers, but and the Rams, but you still have the Cardinals twice. You got the Jets, which again, you don't know if Aaron Rodgers will still be on the field, and you got the Vikings and the Bears, and the Cardinals. So you've got some kind of a little bit of leeway there in the second half, where if you kind of go 6-2, even if you might go 4-6 in the first part of the season, um, you might still find yourself with 10 wins this season. But we'll get into more and more of each of these games throughout the next podcast here on the Loud and Devoted. But I'm definitely thankful for you to be watching with me today. I wish I need to figure out how to, when I'm doing the live streams, how to share my screen so I could show you what I saw, what I went through. But take care, you guys. Go Hawks, and we'll see you back. I'm going to be talking on my next podcast, most likely tomorrow, about the dead cap space. And, a lot of people say, boo, that's boring. Who cares about the dead cap? Well, the dead cap has a lot to do with the resources that teams have. This is the money that you pretty much just said, like Russell Wilson, his dead cap hit is tremendous for the Broncos, and they could have used that, $40 million, $45 million that they're paying him for other parts of their team. Jamal Adams is a big dead cap hit for Seattle. We could have used that either to have Jamal on the team and provide value, or dole that money out to other players, but you can't touch it because it goes to him. It's on the books. It's a dead cap. It's dead salary cap that you can't use. And so I'll go over what the top worst dead cap teams last year and how they fared. This was 2 years ago, how they fared this last season, and who's got the worst top 10 cap hits, dead cap hits this year, and what does that mean for Seattle going into this schedule? And I'll go over that, what that means, how they fared, what Seattle's going to have to do, and what they're going to have to rely on, given the fact that they do have one of the top, bottom worst dead cap teams in the NFL this year. And what does that mean for Seattle? Who are they going to have to rely on to get them over the hump to get into the playoffs? I'll talk more about that on the next edition of the Loud and Devoted. And as a Seahawks fan, I sure hope that you are loud, that you're devoted to this team like I am. I walk around the desert out here with blue and green, and people throw things at me and say, boo, but I'm devoted. And of course, I'm very vocal when it comes to our team. And that's why I enjoy being a Seahawks fan going on 40 years. I think I turned 48 in a couple weeks. In a week, I turned 48. So I remember I was 8 years old when I first started watching this team. And so I'm very loud. I'm very devoted. I'm a Native American from the Lummi Nation up in Washington State, out here in the desert doing some pretty cool stuff. But I'm very blessed and thankful to have you join me today. I hope you like and share and subscribe to my podcast. I'm not like Corbin Smith. I don't do this every day, or I'm not like some of the other really great Seahawk podcasters out there. But I am learning. I've got a broadcast degree from Washington State University, as you can see behind me. I actually got my master's of business there as well. So I'm a double cougar, grew up a Husky, blue, purple and gold, and now end up being crimson and gray. But don't hold that against me. We're still a Northwest school, and I'm very thankful to be a part of this great podcast that I've created. So thank you so much for joining me. Go Hawks. Let's see how we do this year. We'll talk more about the schedule coming up in the next editions of The Loud and Devoted. Again, my name is Aaron Thomas, a.k.a. Native Seahawk. Take care and go Hawks.